coaches with the most to gain in 2025. And that can kind of, be taken a lot of different ways. But to me, I went sort of with two buckets of my five. I went at I'm going to cement five, so of these five guys that we most to gain. So I went in sort of two realms: legacy or cementing the I'm the guy status. I'll go number 5. That would be Coach Prime.
Really?
Deion Sanders.
Okay.
Because no Shedeur, your son's not there. No Travis Hunter, no number 1 recruit in the country that was, Heisman Trophy winner. They're gone. Are you how serious of this are you? If you go and you have a very solid season again, and you're a 8-9 win team, and you're competitive all year, and you're just close, and you're showing that you even improve maybe, or you're showing that you're building something, whatever that may be. That to me, that's a big thing for me, because that shows that all of this was real and not just something he's done for the past 5 years while his son was there, kind of thing. And as much as the effort and the time and all the things he's put into it, I don't want to diminish that at all, but it's still a thing. And if he just bails after his son goes, then it's not a good look.
Yeah, and I think I can get down with this. I like the way you spun this. I think it's good because now I don't know that the expectations were really high a year ago, but they put a good winning streak together, and they were in the Big 12 hunt. Can they remain in the Big 12 hunt? Because I know Arizona State's going to be there. I know without a doubt Dillingham and Arizona State are going to be there. And with Shedeur being gone, with Travis Hunter being gone, can you construct a roster too? Because it's total roster construction and development. They struggled at the quarterback spot. They brought in the second best recruit in the country, in Julian Lewis.
Juju.
Yeah, Juju is an animal. This dude he's a freaky. Everybody wanted him at quarterback. Everybody in the country wanted him. So you've got your next face of your franchise, but he's not going to be. Shedeur came with experience, right, and took some lumps and got better. This guy's coming straight out of high school into your system. So I kind of like that. I can get down with the prime time because he does have something to prove. And
to me, if they go out and have another solid season, or keep showing signs that, hey, we're a real program, we're here to stay, kind of thing, that's a big deal for me with him. And that's one where maybe an NFL team then after that says, hey, look, we see that it's legit. Now we want you to come coach our NFL team. Anyway, that's my first one. Who you got?
Well, let's keep going. I like it because we'll go up your list.
Okay, we'll go. So 4 is Sherrone Moore at Michigan, because you beat Ohio State already, yes, but you took a step back, and now you've got your $10 million quarterback or something like that. That
12
something obscene amount.
Bryce, it's Underwood, right?
Yeah, top recruit, the guy. One of your biggest booster guys, and Michigan fans took care of business for you there, Mr. Portnoy. So can you take that and cement your status as I'm the guy at Michigan? So that's 4 for me as Sherrone.
I like that. No. I like that, and I wrote him down on my list too. So I'll just keep adding to it. They were a quarterback away this year. Defense very much kept him in games. A lot of these guys now, a big draft class last year. This year is going to have a lot of these guys going out the window, the Will Johnsons, the Grahams in the middle, the Mason Grahams in the middle. Several defensive tackles actually will get drafted probably in the first round. And they severely underperformed and couldn't find an identity, kept switching quarterbacks. Was it as simple as that? Is that the easiest thing? Because here's another thing too. The further you get away from your culture setter, the more the culture gets ruined a little bit. Jim Harbaugh is unbelievable culture guy, and I don't know how he does it. Brent, I've been around him I don't know how many times, and he's one of the quirkiest, strangest individuals I've ever met in my life.
Do you see the post-game stuff and they sing "For He's a Jolly Good Fella"? It's
and I think about that kind of stuff in the locker room, and I'm like, no, shut up. I don't want to hear that crap. But you got NFL guys buying into it like crazy because, again, If you're a coach and you show me who you are and you do it consistently, I'll believe it. But I think he set that culture of toughness. He built that foundation. Can Sherrone Moore keep it going? That's a hard thing to do. Like, you've got to have that identity of yourself and be able to do it. And that's to be determined. But let me tell you what I loved. The end of the Ohio State game. Not just kind of like, yeah, we lucked into it. He was over there like, boom, shooting arrows across the field, right? Like, relishing it. And I am here for that. I love that swag. So I think it's very doable. They're going to lose a lot of talent, but Michigan's been recruiting really, really well. And the quarterback spot might be in really good shape with the number one recruit, I think, the best quarterback in the country that, got paid $12 million. So
whatever.
You watch your franchise quarterback.
Third for me was Billy Napier. Because quite honestly, I didn't think he'd be here. I thought the schedule would doom them and would doom him in his job status, but it didn't. And they found themselves, and they found some victories, and they definitely found a quarterback. And now he's got his guy at quarterback. Now the schedule's not any easier because it's basically the same, and it's very, very difficult. I think they have like most of the national title odds. They have like half.
Have that schedule ready, but let me say this: it's interesting you say the most to gain, because I almost feel like I could spin that too, because they got so much momentum this year. And even though they lost a lot, they finished on a 4-game win streak, right? I think they finished winning at least 4 in a row, beat Ole Miss, kept them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, 4 in a row, including the bowl.
Yeah, including the bowl. And then honestly, the Georgia game could have been better if not for the quarterback spot and Lagway being hurt. They beat LSU, who was another, quality team. They went to overtime against Tennessee, and they easily could have beaten Tennessee. So, Brent, it was really close, and they were 8-5, I think. I think that was their record.
Yeah.
So they could have all this momentum, and next year be 8-5, but it's going to feel totally different because they started so bad, and it was like, man, we suck. We're out of here. We're going to do a Florida State, which Florida State went in the tank and basically quit. But Florida rallied. They fought. Billy Napier has already said he's going to be calling plays, so he'll be the OC again next year. He's got DJ Lagway. They looked good on the line of scrimmage last year on the offensive line. They had an identity on offense. Lagway showed scrambling, big arm, toughness, getting hurt and coming back. So I think the expectations for Florida is going to be really high. But go ahead and talk me through that puppy, because that schedule, that ain't fun, bro.
No, not one bit, not in the slightest, because it's at LSU. It's at Miami is maybe not as, at least from an environment standpoint, not there. Texas at home, at A&M, Georgia, at Ole Miss, Tennessee. Like that's just it's still there. Yep. And they're not obviously not going to be as bad as they were this past season. You wouldn't think, at least. But he's my third.
It was fun to watch Billy Napier keep that thing together last year. And I think now the expectations will be higher like they were when he started. And it'll be interesting to watch, how good this team could be, because it definitely seems like there's elements in place that you should be cheering for. And if you're a Florida fan, happy you got.
When it's one of those, and for me, like most to gain, like if Lagway truly is a big time difference maker and you now are a 10-2 team with that schedule, you're in the playoff.
Oh, 100%.
And maybe even 9-3, depending on how the rest of college football looks.
Yeah, because you'll be battling with teams. I think you'd be battling with teams that you had probably beaten, because I think, you're going to have Tennessee in the mix. You're going to have Georgia in the mix. You're going to have Texas in the mix. Like Miami's probably going to be in the mix in the ACC. So you'll have several teams on your resume that will be resume boosters that will be good. And that's not even counting A&M and Ole Miss. So there's plenty of landmines on that schedule.
All right. Last 2 and 1 are legacy kind of things for me. And I think more about these two guys is, can you win it all? So 2 was Dabo. Because to me, if he goes with Klubnik returning and, you already put him in your top 5 kind of thing, they go win it all. Like that's the ultimate mic drop for Dabo. In all this area of craziness, my what I do works, and it did the trick, that sort of thing. So he's 2, and then one is James Franklin.
Well, hold on. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. All right. That's incredible. I like the James Franklin. Dabo, obviously there for a different reason, but I think Dabo's lost the luster, and people now question whether he is that guy. Dabo has 2 championships. Kirby has 2. Like that's the list of active coaches that have 2. Like they are in a league of their own, not wanting to adapt to the portal, but adapted to the portal a little bit. Not having a QB, finally got his QB. Not having receivers for a little while, finally got the receivers. So I think you're seeing a lot of the ingredients that made Dabo and company successful, I think, are starting to come back into place. And that's why he's smiling like that on that picture, because he's got the guy behind him. And I think that this year is going to be a big year for Clemson. And by the way, they opened with LSU.
Yes.
Like that's in
the
real Death Valley. I don't know which Death Valley it is, but it's in the real Death Valley. It's one of the 2, or is it a neutral game site?
Yeah. I actually haven't looked. I need to look.
I haven't looked at that either, but obviously both. I say that because they're both Tigers. They're both called Death Valley, their stadiums. So I'm sure one of them claimed to be the real Death Valley, and the other one's the copyright. But yeah, I like the Clemson one on there. Before you get to your first one, some guys that I had on the list. What do you think about this? Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Did you have him near
your list? That's a really good one. I just went with my 5 that I came to my mind first. I didn't think sort of anything else after that.
Yeah.
And I like him because he's kind of, like you said, just it's kind of a little bit of here in terms of that list. But is there something in the tank? And now you got quarterbacks galore there. You got
quarterbacks, which is, again, they were competitive last year, but you look up, they don't go to a bowl game. They have 2 conference wins. So like it was obviously a disappointment, but the recruiting's been good for Hugh Freeze. And so I think
a big time receiver.
Yes. I mean, I think that they've got a chance to hopefully make some noise. And I think Hugh's a great guy. I think he's a really good coach too. I think he's one of those guys that is, once he got into the SEC, he was like, holy cow, like this is a different world. Because it is from a recruiting standpoint. Once he got back in it in the Wild Wild West, it officially occurred. He was like, these things have changed a little bit since I was in it. And Liberty's a totally different animal. So I think it took some time to trust me, totally different animal. It took some time, I think, to adjust. But I think Hugh Freeze was a guy that I put on there. Another guy I have on my list before we get to your number 1, Brent Venables.
Yeah. Great call.
Because Venables is a guy that has coached great defenses. Now, listen, remember, Jeff Lebby was his OC. They were really good on offense. Dylan Gabriel was there. Dylan Gabriel leaves. Jeff Lebby goes and becomes the Mississippi State head coach. You hire Seth Luttrell. That didn't work. You fire him. And now I think it's interesting because you brought Ben Arbuckle in from Washington State. I think it was probably a dual purpose reason of why you bring him in, because you got the best transfer quarterback in the country with Napier. And so I think like you've got the QB, which is huge, the familiarity with the system, but let's not sugarcoat that offensive line. It was terrible. The receivers were hurt like crazy. The run game was non-existent. That was a tough watch. Like to watch their offense last year was really, really tough. And their schedule doesn't get any easier because it's the same. No, and pull that up because I think that will be big. But I think this is a big year for Brent to show people can they get that side figured out and the defense with the defense, because he always does. He's the play caller, man. Like he's so good. Yeah. And the reason he was so good at Clemson and the reason he's so good now is because he's got infinite energy and he's just so passionate. He cares so much. And again, you take on the persona of your coach. Like the players are going to play on edge when your coach is on edge. And he's one of those guys that has that. And I think, with OU next year, I think it's a pretty big year.
Who also plays Michigan, by the way. In addition to their SEC monster, they get Michigan. That's amazing.
Good thing is they get Ball State and Temple. Obviously, they got Auburn again.
So Illinois State, Temple, Kent State. There's 3 dubs. Outside of that, I can't give them one definitively.
No, because they got Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Like it's Alabama again, who's
Missouri,
going to be pissed at them. Missouri,
that's a gauntlet.
Like LSU, like that's tough, man. Like that's not easy. And again, when they came into the league, they got screwed. Let me be very clear. Like they got screwed with the schedule. You can say whatever you want. Texas got a joyful entrance into the SEC. Oklahoma
nice
got a
basket.
Yes, it couldn't be any more on this side of the page. So it's a big year for Venable next year. Offensively, let's see how this, how this shows up, because it's definitely going to be. I think the defense is always going to be very competent and very good.
Yep. So who else was on your? Any others on your list that we didn't get to?
Yeah, I wrote down Mike Norvell, but you wrote down Mike Norvell, didn't you?
No, I did not have him.
I'm interested to see Florida State bounce back.
It's a bounce back. Yep.
Yeah, bounce back. So I put Norvell, and then I wrote down a sneaky one, Brian Kelly. You go to 9-4. I kind of just.
If you fade into this, where you're this all the time, and you keep getting the QBs that they're getting and the weapons they have, like, yeah, that.
Well, and I thought with Brian Kelly too, like the end of the game, so many times being close and coming up, not coming through with the play and making those plays or getting that stop. Like you've seen it so many times over his first, several years in Baton Rouge. I think he's a good coach, and they've recruited really well this year, like especially portal and additions. And so I think they should take that next step, and they should be one of those teams that we're saying LSU should be in the playoff hunt every year. Like,
yes,
it's not debatable. You have the in-state talent that's almost one of the best in the country. There's no other people you're really competing with. Like that's a great job. That is an elite job. He left Notre Dame to take that job because it was a better job. And I just did air quotes if you weren't watching. It was a better job because he wanted to play in those big games and play against comp where he had equal comp. I want to hear your James Franklin. I want to hear this part. So
for me, the way I looked at this, most to gain of the 4 remaining teams in the playoff this year, he's the only one who has his quarterback back. And it's kind of that it's time. You've got your quarterback back. You just stole the defensive coordinator from basically your biggest rival.
National championship team.
You get Oregon at home. You got to play Ohio State again at their place, but like your schedule's set up very nicely. Like this is the year. If you go run the gauntlet and put this into a championship type team, that to me, like you cement yourself into a whole different echelon of coach and how he's looked at. Does that mean like they're gonna if it doesn't go well, or they get to the playoffs and lose in round 1, like that everybody's gonna hate him and say go bye-bye and like go away? No, doesn't mean that at all. But
we're talking about the most to gain. We're not talking about who's on a hot seat or
staying positive here, right?
Yeah.
They win the whole thing, and they were they're going to be preseason top 3, 4, 5, whatever, because of the quarterback returning and where they were a year ago. Go win the thing, and go win the whole deal, and you're in a whole other level.
The thing I love about that is not only does he have the most to gain, probably financially too, because he's not on that list we talked about, and Ryan Day skyrocketed up that list. So literally the most to gain. You go win a championship, and them dollars start adding up quick.
He's not even in the top 10.
No, but you go win a championship, you're going to be well in that top 10, and you're going to be making that money. So Brent's got Penn State. I think Penn State fans should be optimistic. You took that next step. Now, I think people are going to naturally talk all this offseason about the draw was pretty good.
Yes. And you didn't
now
beat
DC, OC, quarterback back. This is a squad that you feel like should take that next step, which means you need to win more, which you were pretty dang good. You made it to the daggum final 4.
Yep. So
hey,
that was my list.
I got a text from Wes and said we have a Rich Rod comment in the chat. So I feel like we have to have that for somebody.
Oh, I mean, he has the most to gain just by showing back up and making by the way, by making West Virginia fun again, I'm in, because they've been boring for.
In case y'all don't know this, Brent went to West Virginia.
I'm from West Virginia.
proud guy from there. Dude knows.
I didn't actually go to school there, but I'm from there.
And Noel Devine and Slayton and all those guys and the glory days. He used to have so much pride. He used to paint his chest and go to the games, and like it was. We got some great pictures. He was bald then too. It's amazing the hair wasn't there, but just proud West by God Virginia guy. And
hey, if they're fun again, I'm in. I think they at least will be fun again and interesting.